Do you like comic books? Do you like all types of nerdy shit? Do you like hearing people discuss these topics? Do you like hearing one guy talk to himself for an hour about this kind of shit? Well, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Bat in the Hat podcast, hosted by me, Secret Identity Man. This is the intro to my podcast, innit?
What is happening, everybody? Happy Monday. It is a great day here. My name is Wade Wilson, and you are listening to the Bat in the Hat podcast, episode 3, on this beautiful January 21st. And we got a lot of shit to talk about. Maybe not as much as I feel because I wrote like 4 pages of outline, but, you know, we got some stuff to get into. A couple things I want to get into today. Reign of the Superman came out. Yes, Reign of the Supermen. Very cool movie. We're going to talk about that. That one's actually going to have spoilers, so skip ahead if you don't want to know what happens in Reign of the Superman. However, you really should have had time to watch it if you were going to watch it. Maybe I'm just an asshole. Who knows? The other thing, Spider-Man Far From Home trailer came out. They hit us with a couple of trailers. We're just going to get into the main shit of it. And then the last big thing I want to talk about is Punisher Season 2 came out, and I have just so much to say about it. I'm not all the way through. I'm only, I think like 7 episodes in. But I think that I want to talk about just the first episode, really, kind of get you in the mindset. So it's going to have first episode spoilers again on that. And then we'll get into our comic book picks of the week and what to look out for next week coming on Wednesday. Or I guess this week coming on Wednesday. And again, if you hear the flippy pages, that's just my my notes that I like to take because I am woefully unprepared. Reign of the Supermen, man, what a fucking cool movie! It's the classic storyline following the death of Superman. We got Superboy Prime created by Lex Luthor using Lex Luthor and Superman's DNA. If you watch Young Justice at all, like we talked about last week, if you watch the first couple seasons of that, you'll know a little bit about Superboy, but there's a couple of different discrepancies, right? So you have different versions of Superboy. The Superboy that they use in this movie, in this animated movie, voiced by Cameron Monaghan from, if you don't know who that is, that's the guy from, he's the kid from Shameless, the redhead kid from Shameless, and he plays the version of the Joker in Gotham. So, or Gotham's version of the Joker. Very talented kid, very awesome actor, and he lent a voice role to this for Superboy. And man, I really dig it. They gave him the classic Superboy leather jacket and the straps and the cargo pants and all that kind of cool stuff. But there's different types. So the Superboy we got in Young Justice, he was more what some people are used to, just the dude in jeans, built dude in jeans with the black Superman t-shirt, and that's really cool. But essentially the same character. The big differences are a couple things. So the first thing is the original Superboy, he actually didn't have the powers of Superman. He had telekinetic powers, which he used to make it look like he had all the powers of Superman. He was able to make himself fly and give himself super strength, but it was really all just telekinetic powers, which I thought was a cool spin. But eventually we got into this point where, no, we wanted him to have Kryptonian DNA, and it was such an evil plot that Lex Luthor created him in Project Cadmus and gave him his own DNA as well as DNA he had collected from Superman after his battle with Doomsday. And I think that that's just such a neat idea. Superboy is one of my favorite characters for sure. I haven't always been a Superman fan, but Superboy I've always been on board with. And I'm really coming around to Superman himself, man. When I was a kid, I used to think he was too much of a Boy Scout. And I thought, man, this dude's lame. But as I grow up, I'm still Team Batman 100% all the way every day. But Superman is growing on me. I think that there's a lot of depth to the character now that maybe they weren't as able to project back when I had my thoughts that I thought. Keep in mind, I'm 24 years old. I'm turning 25 soon. No, who fucking cares what I think? You know what I mean? This character's been around since 1938. Anyways, let's go back to Superboy. So just like in the Young Justice iteration, he actually has Kryptonian DNA, but it appears in this he has more access to it. In Young Justice, he only had about half of Superman's abilities, and his Kryptonian DNA was being suppressed by his human DNA. That doesn't seem to be the case here. Um, he had everything. He had the super speed, flight, strength, heat vision, all that kind of good stuff. At least what they showed us. Superman has such a variety of powers that we don't get to see as often. I'm a big fan of that super breath, whether it's him using it to push stuff. I don't know why. I just always or freeze breath. I always thought that was kind of funny that his breath was so strong he could freeze shit with it. And you don't see that as much nowadays, I don't feel. But I always like that. So we got a really cool iteration of Superboy, something that I definitely applauded. The next Supermen to come out of this after Superman's death in his fight against Doomsday was the Eradicator. We'll call him Superman number 2. We're actually going to get back to the Eradicator in a second, but basically he looked just like Superman, maybe a little skinnier. Had some clout goggles on, Definitely a weirdo, and he seemed to, when he arrived in the big fight with all the Supermen right near the beginning, because they met pretty quick, he seemed to have no real sense of justice by law, just justice by whatever he called justice, which usually meant fucking people up, hence the name the Eradicator. But we're gonna get back to him because he had some interesting spins. We had Steel. Steel was a character. He looks like a robot. He kind of looks like a robot dude from Doom Patrol, but big, buff, carries a big Thor-like hammer. Very cool character, but he is a human. He's actually John Irons, and he was voiced by Black Lightning's Cress Williams, which big fan of him as an actor. Not following Black Lightning the show right now, just because I'm kind of at arms with all these CW shows, but that's my own thing. And then the next one we had was Cyborg Superman, who many of you are already familiar with. Cyborg Superman is Hank Henshaw. Hank Henshaw was the DEO agent. Is that it? DEO? DEA? Yeah, DEO. He was the DEO agent. In this iteration, he was an astronaut. Him and his wife were astronauts. And if you saw Death of Superman or whatever I don't remember what they actually called it, Superman Doomsday, the one that came right before this movie. At the beginning, when Doomsday is falling to Earth or coming to Earth, he fucks up this space station, killing these astronauts. And Hank Henshaw and his wife turned out to be two of the astronauts in that space station that they were fixing. And Hank Henshaw is taken, and this is in many iterations, especially I think in the Superman or the Supergirl CW show. Again, I don't know, I'm not following it as closely. Hank Henshaw is then taken and turned into Cyborg Superman, given many of his abilities and cybernetic parts and all that kind of good stuff, and uploaded with a lot of his memories and stuff. I don't remember how, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, so those are your Supermen, those 4. And I think that if you've known the comic book iteration, or if you've known even back in the the late 90s or the early 2000s, they did the same movie called Death of Superman. And it was the exact same thing, but all condensed into one movie. And you'll know that Superman didn't die fighting Doomsday. Fuck what Justice League did in the most recent movie. Again, not that I'm going to shit on that movie at all, because I enjoyed it quite a bit, but he didn't actually die. In that movie, he was dead. He didn't actually die. He was just regenerating in the Fortress of Solitude. The Fortress of Solitude took him. Kal-El had his I don't remember what they call it, but he had his androids from Krypton, and they were like, "Yo, we're gonna cop you up, and we're gonna throw you in this bath, in this bubble bath time until you're ready to fight again." So that's where the shit of it comes. We're gonna come back to Eradicator, because Eradicator is actually a Kryptonian hologram. A hologram that can punch stuff, apparently, but he is a hologram that is made to protect Superman while he is regenerating. But he doesn't have all these moral guidelines that Superman has living on Earth. He's just Kryptonian technology. So it's really kind of cool to see. He is virtually Superman, mirror image again, kind of skinny, but I think the whole movie I'm sitting here thinking like, all right, we're getting all this story on these guys. Who the fuck is the Eradicator? Like, what the fuck? Anyways, so Doomsday came and he fucked shit up. Superman's dead. Now you have in the media, you have these 4 Supermen going around, and they're trying to basically compete for who is the true Superman now. They're trying to take the throne. Who is the true Superman? You have Lois, who's still mourning. You have the Daily Planet, which hasn't really come to grips with Clark Kent being gone, and that's shown by Perry White, trying to give him an assignment and being like, Kent, and not realizing, fucker's dead. And, the whole world in mourning. But you have these 4 Supermen, and what I liked about this, back to Superboy, is that, Lex Luthor came right out and was like, hey, I made this. He didn't tell them it was a clone at first, but he said, this is the new Superman. This thing right here, he is going to be your savior, Lex Luthor, by the way, voiced by Rainn Wilson in these movies, love it, because I don't know why. Rainn Wilson, who you may know as Dwight from The Office, he is not particularly threatening in the Lex Luthor way. And there's 2 sides of Lex Luthor. You have the Lex Luthor voiced in the Justice League by like Clancy Brown, who is super dark and ominous and scary. But you the same side of that coin, you have the Lex Luthor who is a prick. And by prick, I mean he's just a conniving little fuck who, just a sniveling little bitch boy. So I kind of dig both of those iterations. I think that you're able to do an iteration that is both of those in the same character. And Rainn Wilson really kind of captured both of those, and I think that it was cool. But he came out right away and he said, hey, this is your new Superman. He's going to save you all. And I think that me as a comic book fan was waiting for this kid to go haywire, because I think in a lot of iterations of Superboy, he was, he had like this dark side, and he couldn't really control, and he was brought to light. But no, he was good. He was pretty good throughout. Didn't even really fuck with Lex Luthor. He was like, man, this guy's a prick right away. And it was cool, and then eventually it came out that, oh, he's a clone. And Lex was like, yeah, I didn't have to tell you guys that. Fuck off. And, I don't know. I just appreciated that. If I just start laughing randomly while I'm talking to myself in this podcast, feel free to ignore me. I think I'm fucking hilarious. And that's just the way it is. But the Eradicator, the Eradicator, Superboy, Cyborg, Superman, and Steel, man. Very cool characters. Steel, John Irons, you're kind of learning a little bit about. Superman saved his life, and he was just so grateful to him. And when Superman died, he felt the need to honor him by doing what he could, and taking up that mantle. Unfortunately, when he decided to do that, there were 3 other fuckers who were like, yo, nah, but he held his own. There was never a point where I was like, oh, this dude is weak or anything, man. He was a strong dude. So you're kind of going, you see the Justice League, and they're kind of talking about Superman's death and stuff, and they want to protect the president. So the president's going to make a statement. Female president in this movie is going to make a statement, and she is going to kind of address Superman's being gone. And they're on detail. The Justice League is on detail to protect her. LexCorp also had the rights, or bought the contract to protect her in this instant as well. So Superboy is kind of tagging along, and you find out as they're protecting her, you get a flash to Apocalypse, and Darkseid is sitting there like, yo, I sent Doomsday to fuck Superman up ever since they embarrassed me the first time. Which, again, just quick side note, the voice that they had for Darkseid in Justice League War a couple years ago, the movie that really started this string of connected animated movies, that voice was super imposing and scary, and I loved it. Not a huge fan of the voice that they had for this movie. I don't remember who did it. I didn't look it up, but not a huge fan. I got to be honest. It just didn't seem as powerful to me. Maybe you'll feel differently. But Doomsday or Darkseid was like, yo, I sent Doomsday to fuck this guy up. He fucked him up. It's time for me to make my move. So as the Justice League is protecting the president, big mother box portal opens up. Big mother box portal opens up. A bunch of, what do they call them? Parademons. Bunch of parademons come flying through, start fucking shit up. Batman's like, I'm on it. We're going to figure this shit out. And he makes the portal fall, takes the whole Justice League to Apocalypse. And that's really all you see. You don't see a whole lot of the Justice League throughout this movie, respectively. And I was okay with that because this is, in part a Superman movie. I thought it was a really great excuse to get the Justice League out of the way and let us focus on what's happening with the Supermen and, the Superman story. So we have the Justice League out of the way. They're on Apocalypse. Darkseid is still making his plans to come back and conquer Earth, assuming Superman is still dead. Which again, we all know he's not, but fuck it, we're gonna see what happens. So Darkseid also sent, was it Lex Luthor? Somebody who was it? One of them is like Cyborg Superman. That's right. I'm sorry. Darkseid created Cyborg Superman. Took Hank Henshaw and was like, "Yo, the Superman's the reason your wife is dead. You're only alive because I let you be alive, and I made you into Cyborg Superman. Now I need you to follow my plan." And Hank Henshaw, being the prick that he is, was like, yeah, let's do it. So he recruits a bunch of civilians and gives them these chest plates. He slaps a chest plate on them and it turns them into mindless Supermen drones. But he said, we're all going to now be in charge of taking care of our own planet. We're all going to protect our own planet. And so everybody starts volunteering. A bunch of people start volunteering. We get this Superman police squad. And I think that was really cool because, again, just good storytelling. I was interested. They all got crazy powers, and they lost all sense. The dude who volunteered first, he had a fiance and a kid or some shit, and he couldn't remember who they were afterwards, and they didn't see him again. And it was neat. I was really interested to see. There was so much going on, I should say, with all the Supermen, and then now this fucking goon squad that everybody thought at the time was good. I wanted to see how it was all going to get cleaned up, so I was pretty interested. So you have this Superman goon squad, and they start taking over. They start cleaning up the streets and helping people. They're not doing anything wrong at this point. But then all of a sudden you start to realize that, all right, they're amassing in numbers. We now know that Superman Steel went to go find Superman at the Fortress of Solitude. Lex Luthor followed him. We now know, boom, Superman's alive. He just is not at power. So all these Supermen bitch boys, they all circle up, and they're like, we're gonna open up this portal, Darkseid for Darkseid. And I love that. Every time somebody would scream for Darkseid, it gives you that same eerie feeling as like in Captain America Winter Soldier, when Homeboy leaned in and was like, Hail Hydra and shit like that. It just gives you that feeling of like, you're a fuck. So they open the portal for Darkseid. Darkseid comes back. Justice League still trapped on Apocalypse, and now we're just going through. The Supermen are trying to hold tight and figure out a way. Lex Luthor's helping them out, just trying to get the Justice League back. We just need our heroes to come back and help clean shit up. If you've seen Justice League, the live action movie that happened a year or two ago, I don't remember how long it now feels like, in a millennia, you'll know that they don't matter. they don't matter as much, because they come back. They start fighting shit. It's cool. Cyborg is still one of my favorite characters in the world. He comes back and is like, hey, pew, awesome Cyborg impression. And Superman comes back, cleans shit up, nice and tight. Ultimately, it's a Superman movie. We had some really great characters, really great storytelling. I'm, of course, not doing it justice, nor do I care enough to do it that much justice, because I'm not going to retell the entire story. But you get the gist. Definitely a movie to watch. What I will say is I wasn't on the edge of my seat as much as I was with the previous movie, Superman Doomsday. Superman Doomsday had me at the edge the whole fight. I knew what was going down, and I still was just kind of awestruck. It was really great fight choreography. Everything in this movie was pretty great fight choreography too. It's all animated, but it didn't give me as much of that feeling. That being said, definitely held its own as a DC animated movie. If there's anything DC is doing right, it's these. It's truly these. They have great books out too. But again, if we're gonna separate medias from medias in their movie and TV show area, the CW TV shows are not doing it for me anymore. They're super soap opera-ish. I don't like to get political on this show. There's no reason to get political on this show, but I will say that I lean left. Maybe not as hard as some people, but I definitely am left of center. And those shows in total all still feel super I don't know, just like they're imposing a lot of just really political shit. I think I talked about it last episode too. I don't watch these shows to think about all the terrible shit that's going on in America. I kind of watch this stuff and read this stuff to get away from it. So, it's not my cup of tea when they're really pushing, certain political values on me, and it's making me think about this shit. I'm not saying we shouldn't think about this shit, but just not while I'm watching these shows. That's my own personal thing. That's just how I feel. Somebody called on Twitter Supergirl social justice girl, which I'm not a fan of those derogatory labels and shit, but it was pretty funny to me. But yeah, I mean that's all in all that's Justice League, or that's Reign of Supermen, man. A super cool movie. It'll be out on DC Universe out here real soon. If not, you can pirate it, which I don't suggest because I like to at least pretend like everybody is watching things and reading things on mediums that are going to pay creators. But do whatever you do. I watched it as soon as it came out, as soon as I was able to get my hands on it, and I very much enjoyed it. So watch The Reign of Superman, definitely worth it. The next thing I want to talk about, though, is what I'm really excited to talk about. Well, the next two things I'm really excited to talk about, but this is the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, and I'm super pumped. I'm really excited to get into this. I think that I've been waiting for the next Spider-Man movie ever since Homecoming. I loved Homecoming, everything about it. There wasn't really anything about Homecoming I didn't like. I'm sure that we could nitpick little things about it that weren't our cup of tea. But ultimately, Tom Holland is a really great Spider-Man. Michael Keaton was a fantastic Vulture. He's a fantastic villain / superhero all in all. I think that I'm really excited through and through for Spider-Man Far From Home. I really think that it's going to be great. We have a really awesome villain coming in, Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm so excited. They're not reusing Green Goblin again. They're not reusing any of the shit that we've already seen. Venom, you could say, is a reuse, but well, you know what? They might be, because we might be getting Sandman in this movie, but we'll talk about that in a second, because there's some theories about that. But let's go over the trailer. So it kind of starts with Aunt May honoring Spider-Man at this charity event, right? And she introduces him and is like, "Yo, it's Spider-Man, and thank you so much for what you do for the neighborhood and stuff." And she honors him, and they donate this big check from the Stark Foundation to basically, the Stark Foundation was made to help rebuild areas and towns and stuff that was affected by the Avengers and Associates. Really great, and I think we're going to see a lot more of the Stark Foundation. I think it's called the Stark Foundation. Anyway, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot more of that, especially in like Avengers Endgame and stuff. You have that check. Happy brings in that big-ass check. It's signed by Pepper Potts, all that kind of good stuff. But the important thing is Aunt May knows Spider-Man is Spider-Man, or she knows Peter is Spider-Man, which is cool because we got that at the end of the last movie. It didn't talk about that at all in Avengers Infinity War, nor should it have, because it just wouldn't have had a place in that movie. We could pick that up anytime. This movie is said to pick up minutes after Endgame. So we're going to get Endgame, we're going to get Captain Marvel here soon, Endgame right after, and then Spider-Man Far From Home right after that, and it's going to pick up minutes right after Endgame is over. They're going on a class trip to Europe. Clearly everything's fine. The world is back the way that it should be because Spider-Man's alive, and we know this is after Endgame. Everyone's alive. I don't want to say Mary Jane. MJ, who they're calling MJ. I think her name is Michelle, played by Zendaya, and excuse me, played by Zendaya, and I love her as a character. I think she's going to play a bigger role, and obviously she's playing his little bit of a love interest, and they play that up in the trailer, but I had this conversation. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be as deep as we think it's going to be. I think that maybe it'll play up a little bit, but you never know, because some people have an issue with it, that they're calling her MJ and all that stuff. I could care less. Look, I'm a big Spider-Man fan myself. Big Mary Jane fan. I think a lot of our first crushes revolved around Mary Jane as children, reading comic books and stuff. And really gave us our taste for redheads. And I think that she's a seminal character. You know, she's somebody that we really care about and want to see done right in these movies. And I don't think that they're doing her wrong by making her Zendaya by any means. I think that it's too late to now make her Mary Jane, because they already dispelled that. They're just calling her MJ more as like a troll. I think it's complete trolling uh, of my generation, of people who are like, oh, she's not Mary Jane. Whatever, it's trolling. But she is going to play a bigger role in this movie. She is his love life, or his love interest now. He's in high school still, and especially in the books, he didn't meet her until, I'm pretty sure, after high school. I'm pretty sure later, college. It was after the death of Gwen Stacy and all that stuff. And what was that line? Aunt May is like, I really want you to meet someone, and she opens the door, and Mary Jane says, you just hit the jackpot, Tiger. Was that it? I really want that moment in in a future movie. If they do this long enough and Tom Holland kind of grows into older Spider-Man, I would love that. People at the wonderful Mythical Mountain here in Jacksonville, Florida, who you guys know I patron for my comic books. I have my pull list through. We had a big debate about this on Wednesday. They said it would be too cheesy. I think it would be fantastic. I would love to see those. Sometimes those cheesy moments are what's really going to win your heart, especially for the older generation. And I would love to see that entrance of the real MJ, the real Mary Jane. But moving on from Mary Jane, I think that MJ's role, Zendaya is a great actress, and I think it's weird seeing her as this young high school student, and you believe it. Because honestly, I can watch these and be like, oh, these kids, even though I know they're all well over 20, they're probably my age. Tom Holland is 20-something, and Zendaya's in her 20s as well. Even though I know they're I totally believe them as high school characters. I honestly do, and it's super weird. But she's also in, like, The Greatest Showman, where I totally believe she was a full-ass grown person. And great actress. Really, really a fan of her. So we have, moving on from that weird spiel about MJ, we have what we've seen as the elementals, or what they're calling the elementals. The elementals in the comic books were a different thing. We're not going to get into that. But we have possibly Hydra Man and Sandman are the ones that I really was interested in, because I know that the other one might be Molten Man. And then is there another one? Is there an Airman or a Wind guy? I don't know. However, Hydra Man and Sandman are the ones I'm interested in, because I loved... This means nothing, but back in the 90s, the Spider-Man TV show, which is probably most of our favorite Spider-Man show ever, the Hydra Man episode of that was fantastic. And I remember honestly thinking, like, how are you going to beat this guy? And then he beat him. And it was great. But we're going to get Hydra Man and Sandman, maybe. And I say maybe because Mysterio is coming in. And Mysterio is a master of illusions. And when Mysterio came in the comic books, he came in pretending to be a hero. He was causing all of these disasters and causing all of these bad things to happen just so he could clean them up and make it look like he was saving everybody. He had a little bit of hero envy. Obviously, we ultimately find out that he's a douche and that he was doing this. And Spider-Man's like, I'm going to stop you. And, thwip, thwip. So... I think that's what's going to happen, obviously. Or not obviously, but honestly, I think that that's what's going to happen, is he is creating these fake elementals. I don't think we're going to get the real Sandman or the real Hydra Man, even though they're teasing it. I'm sure you guys have seen this already, but on, like, the trailer, they're riding on the gondola or on the boat through the water, and you see on another boat it says ASM, what was it, 212, 212, and that was a shout-out to Amazing Spider-Man number 212, which was the first appearance of Hydra Man in the comics, and they had Molten Man's first appearance on a license plate of a car somewhere, and all that kind of good stuff. But excuse me, I think that it's just all cock teasing, to be honest. I don't think that any of it is going to be real. I do think Mysterio is exactly who he was in the comics and in previous iterations. He has never been a good guy. He has always been a villain, so we can't expect that they're going to make him anything other than a villain. That being said, if the writing is good enough and they do some switcheroo shit, I'm not going to be mad. Again, I go into these things with a pretty open mind. I think we all should. And that's why, a lot of us enjoy these movies so much, is if the writing is good, do whatever you want. It's fictional characters. I'm not going to be mad at you. But yeah, he's a bad guy. He creates illusions to make it seem like he is a hero. He's not a hero. Jake Gyllenhaal looks great. He really does. I think that he is a solid choice. I even was rallied behind him as the next Batman because as much as Batfleck is my Batman for sure, I have so much faith in Jake Gyllenhaal. I have loved his acting ability for a long time. I think he's done a lot of really great stuff ever since like Zodiac for me. A lot of people say like Donnie Darko, but Donnie Darko, Zodiac, just I think he's versatile. You know, he can do dark and creepy, which is what I wanted to see brought to Batman, and I think he looks great in this as well. The comic accurate suit, man. How cool did Mysterio look? He had the full fish dome. You know, he had the full. He's got a little more gold in his costume, but he's still pretty gold and green. Got the big purple cape, and he's got the fish dome. And I think that they're now at this point. James Wan said it best when he was talking about why he did Aquaman. You know, he made Black Manta look like Black Manta. He gave Aquaman his gold and green suit, and they were like, "Why? You know, why are you so bold into using these original?" And he said, "Man, they're classic designs. Why fuck them up? Why change them?" He didn't say fuck them up, but you know, why change them? And I agree with that 100%. I think movies are no longer afraid to use comic accurate suits and stuff, comic accurate appearances, because as much as I actually dug the Green Goblin in the original Spider-Man, I would have liked to see a you know, more of a goblin-y, you know, not just a mecha suit or a tech suit or whatever. But that's just me. That's, you know, my personal opinion. Maybe you'll disagree. I love the comic accurate stuff. I think it just really brings me back to my childhood of reading those old comics. But we also got a little bit of Nick Fury being Nick Fury, you know, shot Ned in the neck with the trank, you know, and he said, "Spider-Man, you know, good to meet you," in his very Samuel L. Jackson voice. And he was like, "Holy shit, you're Nick Fury." And for a minute, I was like, oh man, I think a lot of the comics that I'm reading right now are fucking with me because Nick Fury in the Punisher book I'm reading, he's kind of a douche, but I think I'm blurring lines a lot. But you know, Nick Fury in these movies should still be Nick Fury, still the guy that we all know and love, and so I'm sure that needle to Ned's neck is nothing. Nothing malicious. I want to ask a question to you guys. I know that I don't have a whole lot of listeners right now, only about 20 of y'all, but I'd really like you guys to answer a question or let me know what you think. Again, you can tweet me at BatHatOfficial for this podcast and let me know what you think. At BatHatOfficial, if I can get through that without stuttering. At BatHatOfficial. Tweet me. Ned, what is it? Ned Leeds is the kid's name in the book. That was the Hobgoblin in the comics. That was the Now I think it was like the second or third Hobgoblin, but he eventually became the Hobgoblin. Do you guys think that if the MCU and if Spider-Man in the MCU runs long enough, we will see Ned first lose some weight, you know, as we all should, and second, do you think he'll become Hobgoblin? I'm very interested to see what you guys think. We had another debate about that at Mythical Mountain on Wednesday, and nobody seemed to think he would. I was the only hopeful one because I love the Hobgoblin. Don't know why, just always liked him. Maybe it's just the color palette or how creepy he was. I liked him more than I liked the Green Goblin. That's just me. Fuck if you don't agree. But let's move on to The Punisher Season 2. Again, we're only going to talk about the first episode. Man, how brutal. Super, super brutal. And I loved it. Every bit of it. When I was, you know, coming out of that first season, I think that first season was perfect. Jon Bernthal is the Punisher. And I have never been so satisfied at a character portrayal in my life. And I'm not just sucking his dick. I'm honest. I mean, that is what I like to see in a character portrayal. At least in this character portrayal, the Punisher, he looks great. He sounds great. I think his voice, the crazy, war grunts he does when he's really in the killing spirit, just epic. So we're gonna talk about the first episode of season 2. If you haven't seen any of season 2, that's why we're only gonna talk about the first episode. It's, you know, spoilers, but I don't think that you're really gonna miss much. And still watch it because holy shit, you're gonna love it. So the first episode was definitely brutal. Frank is now Pete Castiglione again. He was given the ability to live a life clean record. They totally expunged Frank Castle from the databases, from any kind of records. That the Department of Homeland Security was, did that at the end of the last season, and so now he's attempting to live a semi-normal life. He's traveling, just kind of going town to town. He's not staying anywhere for too long, and he why am I losing what I'm thinking of? He's just passing through, and he goes to this bar, right? So we pick up with him in a bar, drinking like he does, good old Marine, and some douchebag is getting a little fresh with the very, very beautiful bartender behind the counter, and he's, scenes like this always make me feel a little weird. He's saying a lot of just shit you don't say to a woman, and clearly Frank agreed, because he was like, hey, why don't you tone it down, leave the lady alone, she's working, back off. And he's like, oh, you just made my night, comes over, starts pushing Frank. It's like, hey, fucking fight me. And Frank says, cool. So he beats the shit out of him. Bartender is, calling security over. Security says, you can either walk out or I can put you out. She said, no, he's cool. So, he saves her from that guy getting real fresh and putting his hand on her. And they get to talking, they get to drinking. And she's like, oh, you want to come in? And they fuck. They totally, he takes her right to Pound Town. And I think that's I joke a lot, but here's the thing that I like about, this whole first episode, because I had somebody say, like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to be so, lovey. And I was like, yeah, but here's the thing is Frank Castle as a character, he's had everything he loved taken from him. I can't imagine. We can all look at it as fiction, but I genuinely cannot imagine having my entire family just taken from me like that. Murdered right in front of my eyes. He went on his crusade and he became the Punisher and he killed everybody who was responsible, and that's awesome, but that can't fill the hole. We all knew that wasn't going to fill the hole. So of course, he maybe even a guy as tough as the Punisher, he's looking for a little human connection. He's looking for a little bit of humanity. And I respect that. Like, I respect the choice that they made to draw out that first half of the first episode, because we're not really in the shits. We got a little bit of action, but nothing crazy. So he has sex with this woman. The next morning, her kid is sitting in the living room. He's like, oh shit, hey, I totally didn't just fuck your mom, and takes him out to breakfast and all that stuff. So she's like, well, why don't you stay? And for the first time in a while, he thinks, yeah, maybe I can stay or stay in town. I don't think she was just like move in, but maybe I can stay in town and see what happens. She seems cool. So he gets about 2 hours away and he turns it around. He says, no, I'm going to go back and hang and see her again and maybe try to live a semi kind of normal life. And I respected that. We all knew that wasn't what was going to fucking happen, but I respected it enough that, I was interested to see what happened next. So he goes back to the bar, and he notices, he's kind of on his Marine shit. He's looking around. He's noticing a lot of stuff. He notices a couple of odd figures lurking around. They seem like they're looking for something. Sees a young girl who kind of gave him a little bit of shit the night before, trying to get out of sight of these people. So he notices, okay, well, they're looking for her, clearly. So he sees her go into the bathroom, and 3 of them go corner the bathroom. One dude out front, he's blocking the door, and then 2 women go in who are clearly assassins. So he goes and he does his little drunk routine. He's like, oh, I gotta take a piss. Fucks homeboy up, goes into the bathroom, fucks the 2 bitches up. Now let me tell you about this bathroom scene where he's trying to save this girl, fucking these chicks up. Dude, fucking brutal. I know I'm gonna say that a million times about this show, but seriously brutal. Just the fight choreography is so impressive with these shows. I'll say Daredevil, fantastic fight choreography. The one show that didn't have great fight choreography was Iron Fist. They made it too kung fu in a bad way. I'm all for old kung fu movies especially, but they made it a little too bad. But no, really great choreography, and he's trying to figure out, so he takes care of the 2 in there and the dude outside, and he says, you need to tell me what's going on right now, because I'm the only way you're getting out of here alive. So she won't give anything up. She's super stubborn. Very good acting, by the way. I don't remember her name. I looked it up earlier, but very good acting from this young girl. I'm sure she's 20 something as well, but I think she's playing like 16 or 17 in the show. And he straight up is like, all right, well, we're gonna figure it out. She threw her backpack out the window moments before. Clearly, there's something in the backpack that they're looking for. And he goes out. So he goes out and he sees a whole lot more people that are clearly with them looking around. Big fight breaks out. Dudes with knives. I don't know why. At some point they were like, no shots. And so most of them are busting out knives. And then guns come out. So fuck the no shots thing, right? But they're fighting with these knives. A lot of really skilled fighters. And he just systematically, one by one, doing his Punisher thing, breaks them down, takes them out. And it is brutal. And I'm going to keep saying it. Brutal. I loved it. Loved it. Unfortunately, in the scuffle, not only did that security guard get pieced up, homeboy got stabbed like 10 times, then he got shot by a machine gun a whole bunch. He's dead. But unfortunately, one of those bullets caught the bartender, the mom, the dude that he was, trying to pursue. And you got that instant feeling as soon as she got hit of, he's never going to have that normal life. He's never going to be able to truly settle down because he is the Punisher. Whatever he used to be, it's not there anymore, and he may want it, but I think he got the picture immediately, seeing that bullet catch her. He is the Punisher, and he's never going to have that kind of life again as much as he wants it. So you got that really hard, kind of hit you in the chest for a second, and but the action must continue. So he's fighting them off, and he's making sure they're all done. Takes out 13 of these fuckers. 13 bad guys down. Boom. And he goes to make sure that homegirl's all right. The young girl, I mean. And when he checks on her, he sees that the woman who he had been intimate with had been shot. So he freaks out. He takes the girl and he takes the woman and puts her in the Punisher van, and they go to the hospital. He's driving her to the hospital. Upon his exit, you see the police looking at all the bodies, and this dude, this old-timey preacher, he's not an old guy, probably in his late 30s to be honest. He just looks like a preacher from Children of the Corn. Like he had that Hezekiah kind of vibe to him, and you don't really know what's going on with him. It's real confusing. And he's telling the officer, the detective, he's telling him what he needs done. So clearly he's got somebody in his pocket. And that's really kind of where the episode ends. I know that that's a weird place, but again, I don't want to go too far. We just want to talk about episode 1. So Frank takes the young girl with him in the van. And he takes the chick in the back to the hospital, and he says, all right, drops her off. And he got shot too, by the way. I didn't mention that. He got shot in the ass. Very, very bad place to get shot. He got shot right in the ass. But, it's the Punisher, so kind of expecting him to get shot. I'm sure that weird spiel of the Punisher episode 1 made you just foaming at the mouth to watch more. I'm not a storyteller. I apologize because I do love doing this podcast, and I love talking about stuff, and I'm sure you guys are clamoring to for me to actually have a guest on here. It's not that I'm just some kind of loser who can't get guests. It's that timing, man. I work a full-time job. A lot of the people who I want on here, they work full-time jobs. We're trying to work it out. I got a couple good people who I'd love to have on, who have been asking me to come on ever since I kind of brought the idea up, and we're gonna see what happens soon. And maybe it won't just be you guys listening to me talk to my fucking self for an hour. We're at 45 minutes now, so we're already, kind of lapping up past the last 2 episodes. I think an hour is where a lot of these are going to sit, typically, just because I can honestly do this for a while. I love hearing the sound of my own voice, clearly. But real quick, let's just go through the comic book picks of the week from last Wednesday. So every Wednesday is comic book day. And again, I'm going to say it loud, I'm going to say it proud. I patron Mythical Mountain right here in Jacksonville, Florida, San Jose Boulevard. Look them up if you're in the area. I have my pull with them, and they're fantastic people. Owned by Jamie and Kathy, really wonderful, and it's run by the employees Tony and Sean. and they're just really great people, really great dudes to get into a debate with. We love to talk every time I'm in there, and we always get into some kind of debate. It's never gotten as bad as it did this recent Wednesday, though. We were there till right up to closing, just me, him, so me, Tony, Sean, and some other guy just kind of screaming at each other. I don't remember the other kid's name. I apologize if you hear this, but really knowledgeable people, fun guys. So if you're in the area, check out Mythical Mountain. They're a great shop run by really great people. And they gave me my pull last week. And some of the things I wanted to talk about was Venom number 10. And man, Venom, written by Donnie Cates, the wonderful Donnie Cates, and all the artwork done by Ryan Stegman, who is a fantastic artist and a fantastic writer. Donnie is. And in this issue, we've already kind of been going on this emotional roller coaster. So if you haven't been reading Venom up until now, you're getting really into the mind of Eddie Brock. If you want to equate him to somebody, let's go ahead and equate him to the Punisher. He's not a bad person, and he doesn't kill true innocence, but he just doesn't have that line like he used to. He has no problem taking people out. And in recent issues, you kind of saw he went back to his father and was saying, I need help. The symbiote is brain dead. So he can't, for the first time in a long time, he feels so incredibly alone because he doesn't have his other half to talk to or to be there with him. It's brain dead. It still is on autopilot protecting him. He can still use the Venom symbiote, but for the most part, it takes the shape of a dog that is just kind of chilling with him. So he went to go find his father. His father rejected him, and his brother, his young brother, who he really didn't know he had, met him for the first time. His father said, get out, and he tried to put his hands on Eddie, and the symbiote pieced him up a little bit. So when he left, and this is last issue, so we're going to get into issue 10, but when he left, he got back to his place that he's staying on the street, and you're really getting this sense of how rough everything is for Eddie. Like, it's a lot because you just the whole time are like, I just want you to be okay, but he's not okay. He's living on the street now, and his brother comes up to him all black and blue and says, we need to kill our father. And that's where this issue picks up. So Eddie takes him to a diner, like a Denny's, I don't know, just a diner, and kind of says, hey man, why did you say we need to kill our father? What happened? Did he do this to you? And he said, yeah, but I was just mad. Don't worry about it. So they kind of get into talking about why. He said, why does Dad hate you so much, Eddie? Why does he hate you so much? And he told him the story of what we thought. We saw a little glimpse of it earlier in some of the earlier issues, but a young child running out into the street trying to catch his ball, who we saw to be young Eddie. Young Eddie was playing in the grass, and his father says, Eddie, no, don't run out there. Well, now he's telling the story, and we find out that wasn't Eddie. Eddie was the one in the car barreling towards him, and his father screaming, Eddie, no, was because he recognized the car. It was his father's car that he had taken, and he went and got drunk with his friends, and he ran over and killed a child. Now his father was, Eddie Brock's father was a powerful man at the time. Politician, I think. I'm not totally sure. I don't remember. But he was a powerful man. They made it all go away, and that ate at Eddie, saying, I deserve to be punished. And his father, sitting with him in an interrogation room, was trying to coach him on what he was going to say in the courtroom the next day. This is young Eddie, by the way, young teenage Eddie, and he said, now what are you going to say when they ask if you're, what do you plead? And he said, guilty. His father punched him just right in the mouth, just bop. He said, I'm sorry. What are you going to say when they ask you your plea? And he says, I'm guilty. And he just starts beating him. And finally, barely able to speak, he says, what are you going to say? Which, by the way, you have court the next day and you just beat the shit out of your kid. So we'll see how that looks. But he said, I'm innocent. He said, good, you're going to keep repeating that. And I'm innocent. It's so heartbreaking. So you're really getting this mindset. We're kind of, we're not really into Venom right now. We don't know what's going on with the symbiote. We know that Null, the symbiote god, is still out there. We know that he's infected Carnage and given Carnage the god symbiote powers, or given him a lot of, we know a lot of this stuff is coming. So what's interesting is that we're seeing all of this insight into Eddie and how rough things are and how just, man, we just want you to be all right because you're not as bad a guy as once thought. You know, you're not as terrible as we always thought. And and on top of that, we know that this shitstorm, this fucking Hail Mary of hellfire is about to come down on his head, and he's going to have to muscle through it and, you know, hopefully figure out what's going on. We're only 10 issues deep into Donny Cates' run, and man, I'm on edge. I can't wait every single time that a new issue comes out. And the only other book I really want to spotlight from last week, there were plenty of great books, and don't think that just because I'm not talking about them in depth doesn't mean they're not great. I just don't think you guys want to hear me go over every single comic book I read, because it's a bunch. The only other one I really want to talk about is The Batman Who Laughs #2. Man, already such a killer series. So if you don't know who The Batman Who Laughs is, it spun out of what was it, the Dark Knight's Metal event, where it's kind of, we learned that there was a dark multiverse. There's the regular multiverse, but there's a section of it that is the dark multiverse, and that's where all of these pocket universes, there's a couple of them, are basically the worst versions of themselves. They're destined to fail, destined to be sad and desolate, you know? And the Batman Who Laughs was Batman who finally was infected by the Joker after killing the Joker. He finally caved in and killed the Joker and was infected by some kind of time-released toxin after he died. I think I'm getting that right. I'm pretty sure. It's been a minute since I read it. But he was infected by the Joker, and it overcame him. And he became the Batman Who Laughs. He has all the skills, all the knowledge, all of the chutzpah that Batman has. Except he's fucking crazy, and he'll do anything. He'll do anything to win. Do anything to kill whoever and whatever he needs to. And that's such a crazy thought, you know, that's such a interesting notion, knowing that Batman himself, and, you know, however you feel about Batman is however you feel about Batman, but knowing that we've had a lot of instances where just knowing he does have to hold himself back from a lot. Same way Superman does in a literal sense. Superman has to hold back his power, very much so. Batman has to hold back a lot of what he does as well. And this Batman Who Laughs has no hold back. He doesn't care. He just wants everything to die, everything to burn. But he's smart. He's so intelligent. He's not just the Joker where he's random. He's like the Joker where he has no morals and no sense of consequence. But he's like Batman where he has a plan. He knows what he's doing. He's tactical, and it's scary. He also introduced the Grim Knight, which was another dark multiverse version of Batman, who, a lot of guns. Gonna tell you, a lot of guns and explosives. He's also a murdering Batman. He's just not as psychotic, I don't think. I don't know. The lines kind of blur. You can, however you feel. But it's very much a Punisher-esque Batman who just, a lot of guns, very tactical again, very, very on point, and will do anything to win. So two very scary Batmen who from dark multiverse worlds. And it's very much looking at, they kind of gave us this bombshell where he was talking about basically what he's doing is he's going from universe to universe and taking the Bruce Waynes out of them, and he's bringing them to Batman's Earth and murdering them for him to find. So they keep finding all of these murdered Bruce Waynes, and like one Bruce Wayne was mayor, the other one actually got, gave up Batman and had kids and all that kind of stuff. And the one that was mayor, I think, gave up being Batman at right after Jason Todd died, is what they said. So you're getting this sense of these Bruce Waynes who moved on and had their own lives and did what they did, and they're better for it. Well, not now because they're dead, but they are better for it. And the Batman Who Laughs basically says, I don't think you get it. You're the worst version of us. You think that we're bad. You are the failure. You are the one who's so miserable. Every other version of you in every other conceivable multiverse found a way to be happy, found a way to be better, except for you. You are the worst of all of us. And that is crazy to think about. I get it. I do. But it's still crazy to think about. All right. We're coming to the end here. We got about 5 minutes left before I hit the hour mark. I'm not going to stretch it out too further. If you made it this far, Great. That means you don't mind hearing me talk. If you didn't make it this far, you can't hear this and go fuck yourself. So, it's been fun. I love talking to y'all. And hope, again, hopefully soon we can do it again. The books that I'm gonna tell you guys to look out for this upcoming Wednesday is Batman number 63. We're gonna find out what happened after that crazy issue in 62 a couple weeks ago with Professor Pig, whether it was all an illusion or a nightmare or what's going on in his psyche. Shazam number 2. I'm not going to talk about anything about Shazam. Pick up issue 1. Read it. I'm so excited. Not only am I just so fucking excited for the movie, I'm so excited for this new series that's out. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a cash grab. They put it out just in time for us to get even more hyped about the movie. But again, I love Shazam. Because of the fact that I never was really into Superman, I saw Shazam as the Superman that I loved. As as a kid, I was, being a kid reading this stuff, Billy Batson was us, He was us, and he got these amazing powers, and what kid at 10 years old didn't want the powers of Superman? And more. I am still on that boat that Shazam could absolutely take down Superman. I think it's a very close one. I think they've made Superman this impervious god in a lot of media, but Shazam, if there was anybody who just strength to strength or powers to powers using whatever they got could do it, Shazam I think could. Very excited. Pick up Shazam number 1 and pick up number 2 this Wednesday. Sideways number 12. Sideways is, if you guys don't know about Sideways is a character that spun out of the Dark Knight's Metal event, and he, a lot of people are equating him to Spider-Man, saying that DC kind of ripped off Spider-Man, but he does have a very Spider-Man-esque costume. I think that he's his own individual, and they went diverse. He's adopted, which is cool, because no superhero can have parents, and he is Latino. I think he's Latino. I don't. I've read 11 issues, and I still can't remember if he's Latino or not. But he basically Sideways powers is, instead of thwipping around the city, he can open up small rifts and essentially teleport. He can rift himself wherever he needs to, which, gosh, is such a cool idea. What we're learning is that his rifting is fucking with the space-time continuum, because that never gets old. And he has like this guardian of the space-time. I don't remember what they call him, but he basically is a protector of continuity. And at first he was trying to stop him, and then he says, well, I guess I should just teach you how to use your powers and use them wisely. With great power also comes great responsibility. But yeah, pick up Sideways, man. I'm not going to fully recommend it yet, because I don't know exactly how I feel. I'm enjoying it so far. But since they're 12 issues deep, man, read it, go on Comixology or read it online, do whatever you do, and find out for yourself, see how you like it. The next one is the Ghost Rider, Cosmic Ghost Rider trade paperback is coming out on Wednesday. Yeah, it should be out on Wednesday. So the Cosmic Ghost Rider series is my favorite thing that has ever happened. It is Donny Cates, the writer of what the fuck does he write? Venom. I'm an idiot. Donny Cates, the writer of Venom, also writes Cosmic Ghost Rider. Basically what it is Frank Castle, the Punisher, went to hell, and Mephisto was like, just be the Ghost Rider because you're a pain in my ass. So he made him the Ghost Rider, and then when he was the Ghost Rider, he turned it after all of life and civilization had been destroyed. All of the Avengers, all the superheroes, Galactus said, hey, do you want to be my herald? And he was like, yeah, why not? And he gave him the cosmic powers of like the Silver Surfer, the same thing he gave Silver Surfer, and it warped his mind. So he's now very Deadpool-esque, and he's very funny, very just weird, and I dig it. Some of my favorite dialogue and some of my favorite just shit to happen is coming out of this book. And basically he goes back in time to steal baby Thanos because he wants to see if he can change the timeline and make Thanos not a piece of shit. Spoilers, he can't. So go pick up the trade. It is such a cool book. Before you read that, see if you can pick up the trade for Thanos Wins. That's already on trade because I have it. And it'll kind of feed into it. You don't have to. I read Cosmic Ghost Rider before I read Thanos Wins, but it does, kind of shed a little light on some stuff. So Thanos Wins, Cosmic Ghost Rider, go get both the trade paperbacks. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 2 comes out on Wednesday. Super stoked about that. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't know anything about it yet. It's basically the same continuity as the current Amazing Spider-Man book, but it's focusing on his kind of in neighborhood issues. He's just the down home stuff. Not as many supervillains, not as many crazy shit. Just kind of dealing with smaller issues and not like boring stuff by any means, but more like so far we've only had one issue, but it's like mafia kind of stuff he's dealing with and just making sure his neighbors are like he brings his neighbors apples and the whole time you're like, yeah, you fucking you bring those apples, you superhero, fantastic, amazing, friendly. In fact, he's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Really lives up to its name. And the last one is I fucking hate myself. The last one is Guardians of the Galaxy #1. Also, fucking surprise, written by Donny Cates, which man, the dude can do anything, and I'm so excited. And spoiler, Cosmic Ghost Rider is going to be a part of the new Guardian series, so make sure you read the trade of Cosmic Ghost Rider before you read, not before, you don't really have to, but it's going to help you figure out what the fuck is going on. I don't know what his role is going to be in this Guardians book. We just know that he is going to be a part of it. We also know that Peter Quill and a whole bunch of other really great heroes are going to be in the Guardians series. And this is basically picking up where if you didn't read the Infinity Wars comic event that happened, Thanos is dead. So Thanos had his head cut the fuck off. And this is the aftermath of not the aftermath, but like a post Thanos universe, which Thanos was not supposed to die. I think that's the important part, is there was a long future with Thanos becoming King Thanos and destroying everything in the universe, trying to court Lady Death, and now he's dead. So this is kind of the first steps after that. I'm very excited to read it, very pumped, and that means the same exact thing, so I don't know why I said it twice. Anyways, if you made it this far, thank you so much, seriously. I really appreciate you guys who do listen. That's going to be all for today, or for this week. I will see you guys next Monday night. Tuesday morning is probably when you guys are actually listening to this, but I will see you next week anyways, or talk to you, or whatever. I'm not good at outros. Tweet me at BatHatOfficial one more time. Just want to throw it out there. Please tweet me your thoughts. DM me, do whatever you want to do. If you have any thoughts on the show, if you have any thoughts on me as a person, if you just want to get political and we can hash it out in the DMs, I'm fine with that. Probably not. I don't like to get too political, but let me know what you think at BatHatOfficial. And if anything, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.